Hello everybody and welcome back once again to the Brawl for All Pro Wrestling Show. It's episode 39. I'm your host Jeff Jaros here as always. And this week I'll be flying through it solo as C-Dub is busy at the time and unable to make it on for this week's show. He hopes to get on next week when we do the predictions for NXT Brooklyn and SummerSlam on August 23rd. Jeff Crow, last I heard he was being held in the Bray Wyatt compound along with Eric Rowan. Both of them being held captive right now. Really tried to get on the show last week, but Bray would not allow it. So I'm hoping that Jeff can struggle free from the Wyatt family or just be set free and make it to the prediction show next week. But we're rooting for you, buddy, so hope you can make it out. But I'll be rolling through by myself this week. It's been a little bit since I've done one on my own, but it won't be as long as previous episodes, obviously, because it'll just be my opinions. But here we go. We just have Raw news and notes this week. As I said, next week we will be doing the SummerSlam predictions, so make sure you tune in for that one. August 23rd is SummerSlam, and NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. We'll be doing the predictions on that too, which is next week. So, Raw's ratings actually up from last week, despite no Cena, Brock, or Taker on this episode. Taker now, I think 4 weeks now, or 3, that he has not been around. So, I think it may be 3, could be 4, I might be wrong. I've been known to be wrong. So, anyway, though, it doesn't seem like they want to put Taker on TV too much and ruin the aura of him. It might get old having him on there too much. But Raw kicked off this week with a Rollins promo, made a Dre reference towards Cena, showing that face is all busted up from whenever he hit him with the knee. Showed a picture of him up on the Titantron. Pretty much just dissing Cena, talking himself up. And then Cesaro interrupted and talked how Rollins just carries on and on and on and on. And he kept saying it was pretty funny. And he wanted to accept an open challenge if he wants to have one. Then we had Kevin Owens interrupt as Rollins was refusing the challenge. And then Owens said that Cesaro has done nothing to deserve the title match and talked about the Cesaro section signs, which people have been bringing to the arena, or I think maybe WWE's just been handing them out. But he talked also about beating John Cena, Owens did. Then we had Orton come out. He talked about everything being real cute. Actually took a jab at Owens' weight as he said, "Are you putting on weight there, buddy?" And actually people thought that this may have been a deliberate shot handed down from like Kevin Dunn, because there are 2 groups, each on a side for Owens being pushed, and a side that doesn't like him right now is what's being reported. I don't know if this was a deliberate shot handed down from Orton on Owens, but it was not by Kevin Dunn, is what Dave Meltzer reported. So we'll have to keep an eye on any more jabs towards Owens, as I'm sure that's coming from that backstage turmoil. He actually dissed Cesaro's sunglasses also, and said that he deserves the title shot. Rollins refused and said he doesn't care what the authority thinks, and Triple H came out after that and says he doesn't like those words, says that he's 2 weeks away from SummerSlam, and Cena's 50-50, which I heard Cena is ready to go. In my notes, I heard that he did say that he was ready to go, and he did appear on Tough Enough too. He says lots of turmoil, Triple H does, and it leads to great competition. So he announced a triple threat between Cesaro, Owens, and Orton, and the winner will compete in a main event match against Rollins tonight for the WWE title. So I thought that opening was a pretty good stipulation to put on. Pretty good opening there. I don't like Rollins coming out every week to kick it off, but the way they set up this 3-way match was pretty good. After that, we went on to Team Bella versus Team Bad, and we had Team PCB now. Paige, Charlotte, and Becky, no longer the submission sorority. That name was actually the name of a adult website, so they have to go by Team PCB now. Brie actually rolled up Tamina. PCB faced off with Team Bad right after a brawl broke out. I see this match definitely heading to SummerSlam, and the updated card has a 3-way faction match here. Team Bella, PCB, and Team Bad going at it at SummerSlam, so that was just to set that whole thing up. But I liked what they did there for the Divas thing. It really wasn't that bad, but yeah, Submission Sorority pretty much changed to Team PCB now. I don't know if I like either name. The Submission Sisters, I don't know if I would have liked that either, but I think they could have came up with something better than Team PCB. Was it PCP, but PCB? I don't know. Los Matadores took on Kofi and Big E from the New Day. Big E pinned Diego, I think it was, after the old big ending. There is a match at SummerSlam that afterwards, Renee Young was interviewing New Day, and she announced the Fatal 4-Way for SummerSlam. It was New Day, Lucha Dragons, Los Matadores, and the Primetime Players for the titles at SummerSlam. So that's going to be a good 4-way tag match. And good call by C-Dub last episode that he said, all the tag teams are going to have to get involved. He saw an elimination match coming, but it didn't happen that way. It's just going to be a Fatal 4-Way for the WWE Tag titles, which I don't know how it's going to be worked, but should be pretty good. After the Renee Young interview, we had Rollins talk to Triple H backstage about, what he's done making the match, and Triple H says that a legacy takes time, and he says the guy he faced will already have a match and be wore down, and he says if he wants to be the man, he has to do it every night like he did with Neville. Rollins says if Cena can do it, he can, and he started marching out, and Triple H just kind of shook his head. It was pretty funny. Then we had Cesaro, Orton, Owens, the #1 contender match for the WWE title. Orton actually hit Owens and Cesaro for the win with an RKO on each of them. He hit Cesaro to get the pin, though. That was a badass match, man. If you haven't seen Raw, go back and watch the triple threat match, because that was a really good match. Great ending sequence. Really cool. Owens, keeps performing like that. I don't see how these two groups are going to be able to say, that they're divided on whether he should be pushed or not. Kevin Owens obviously over with the crowd. In my opinion, appearance doesn't matter really a lot. I'm kind of used to him now, even though I thought he looked strange in there against Orton that first time that they took on each other. I'm getting used to his look now, I think. So I see Owens, if they don't capitalize on the guy, they're crazy. And that ladder match coming up with Balor at TakeOver will be nothing less than extraordinary. After that, we had Ambrose and Reigns backstage interview on being friends and family, and they talked the old SummerSlam match. They played the Undertaker-Brock vignette for SummerSlam, which was pretty cool. Austin, Ambrose, Reigns, Rollins, and Triple H all commented on there. And they had that SummerSlam preview on the network. It's under network exclusives, Brock versus Taker, and most of the guys were interviewed on that as well. And it was a pretty cool, quick little watch there if you haven't seen it. But yeah, they had to keep the Taker-Brock story going there with the vignette. So Ambrose with Reigns versus Bray Wyatt with Harper. Harper actually hit Ambrose with a spinning clothesline to pick up the win. It was a massive clothesline. Pretty stiff. I'm pretty sure JBL was proud on the commentary booth after that one. So yeah, we had Ambrose winning with a spinning clothesline. It was announced that these two little teams here, Ambrose and Reigns and Bray Wyatt and Harper, will go at it in a tag team match at SummerSlam, which should be a hard-hitting match. No Sting going to be added to this match either. As of the time I did this show, it's reported. I have a little bit of a note here at the end of the show on him, so I'll get back to that. We had Miz TV next, calling out Stephen Amell being there, mentioned Stardust, and announced Daniel Bryan. Miz talked, he's the deserving IC title contender. Big Show came out and talked trash on Miz. Called him a cross-dressing Jedi manure spreader, which I thought was pretty good. Said that Miz has no chance at SummerSlam. He got mad at Daniel Bryan too. And then he got mad when a please retire chant broke out, and he actually acknowledged it, claiming, "You want me to retire?" and everything. It was pretty funny, so go back and watch that. Ryback came out to the ring then, and Bryan threw Miz in between Ryback and Show. Show took out Miz, and then Ryback took out Show with a clothesline, and Bryan taunted Ryback into meat hooking Miz. And Bryan and Ryback stood tall there doing the yes chant. So that was a Miz TV spot. Not very big fan of Miz TV. They've used it twice in a row now, 2 weeks in a row. But going on from that, Rusev with Summer Rae versus Mark Henry. We had Lana thrown into Rusev by Summer. Summer put an accolade on Lana, leaving her lane. And the flag of Bulgaria with Rusev's face on it came down like Rusev used to do. And Summer and Rusev gloated, no contest. I see a Dolph Ziggler return coming at SummerSlam, or something's going to happen there. As of right now, Rusev has no match at SummerSlam, so maybe next week they can have Dolph come back and start that feud and get the match at SummerSlam to get revenge against Summer and Rusev for Lana. They had a cool comic book style Neville Stardust vignette and showed Amell shaking his head as it was going on when Stardust's part was on there. Then we had Neville and King Barrett. Neville hit the red arrow for the pin. Stardust attacked Neville after that, and he went and gotten Stephen Amell's face and shoved Amel in his seat, and Amel jumped the barricade and took Stardust down and started hitting him with elbows before it got broke up. This segment has been praised to be pretty good. A lot of people really liked that segment, and I thought it was really cool myself to set it up. So Stephen Amel, however you want to say it, will be working the match at SummerSlam, because next we had Triple H talk to Neville and Amel backstage. He said he'd deal with Stardust. Amel said, let us deal with this, and Triple H said that he's an actor, not a wrestler. Amel says, yeah, but he's a man. Him and Neville want Barrett and Stardust at SummerSlam. Says he'll sign whatever it takes, but they want the match. Triple H then said he's going to draw up the papers and wants them signed by 9 a.m. and said he's not going to be responsible for his funeral. And Triple H says good luck, he's going to need it. So they're playing up the fact that the Green Arrow is not going to stand a chance against Stardust and Barrett, but I beg to differ. So there's a match set up for SummerSlam there, Stephen Amell. JoJo interviewed Sheamus backstage, asked his thoughts on the main event. He said he has the money in the bank, and despite all the controversy, he will become WWE champ, and the right time may be tonight. So, into the main event it goes. Very quick episode, like I said, this week. Orton and Rollins for the WWE title. Sheamus attacked Orton following the RKO on Rollins coming off the top rope. Rollins started coming off the top, and Orton hit the RKO. Then Sheamus dropped Rollins with the bro kick. He went to cash in, but the ref would not take the case. It looked like it was a little bit too long, like they waited a little too long on that spot, but by the time he did, Orton caught him turning around with an RKO, and then they went off the air with Orton standing tall in the ring over Sheamus. So Orton gets the big push on Raw this week with no Cena, Lesnar, or Taker. It looks like they're really liking Orton. And as I'm looking down the list here for SummerSlam, I've yet to see a match for Orton, so I'm thinking him and Sheamus will probably hook up there. I don't know, though. They already have 7 matches here, but you could have a pre-show match, and it is a 4-hour event, so maybe they'll do more than 8 matches. The updated SummerSlam card, by the way, we have Rollins and Cena for the title, Miz, Show, and Ryback for the IC, New Day, Lucha Dragons, Los Matadores, and the Primetime Players for the tag titles. Then we had Brock Taker, the Phenom versus the Beast, Reigns, Ambrose against Wyatt and Harper, and then Team Bella versus Team PCB versus Team Bad. Then we have Neville and Stephen Amell against Stardust and Barrett. I still have yet to get down how to pronounce that last name. This is the updated NXT TakeOver card for Brooklyn I want to announce too. We're going to have Owens and Balor in a ladder match for the title. The Vaudevillains against Blake and Murphy for the tag titles. Bayley, who came in with the win this week on NXT over Becky Lynch to capture the number 1 contender spot, she'll be taking on Sasha Banks for the women's title. Yushin Thunder Liger making his first WWE appearance in NXT against Tyler Breeze. Then we'll have Samoa Joe battling Baron Corbin. We'll have the debut of Apollo Crews, a.k.a. Yuhan Nation. And then the appearance of Hideo Itami is being hyped, so who knows what they'll do there. But that is my Raw notes and the updated cards there for NXT and SummerSlam, which we'll be going over for predictions next week and getting a little more in-depth on everything. Raw, just wasn't much going on this week. It was a solid, decent Raw. Didn't seem very long. Didn't have a lot of talking. Was able to run through the whole thing very quick. And as I'm by myself, so I'm only giving my own opinions, but it just was a pretty uneventful week on Raw, in my opinion, just keeping it going for the storylines to SummerSlam. Next, we have some news that I wanted to go through, and then that'll be the end of episode 39. Hopefully, Jeff Crow and C-Dub can get on next week. I want to send a shout out right now, though, to C-Dub and Chronochord Media, which we like to plug here every week. We like to do cross-promotion with them. And I'm going to put their link underneath here to their YouTube channel. Also, check them out on Facebook. Just search Chronochord Media. So I always want to get that plug in there. Now going on to the news. CJ Parker announcing his retirement, former NXT star. He says he will face EC3 in his final match, so good luck to CJ Parker on whatever he does post-wrestling career. We have CM Punk saying a WWE return after UFC is possible. He did talk slimy WWE politics, which I'm sure they did not like hearing. But looks like CM Punk may be swaying back to coming back to wrestling, returning after all. Reigns was hit with a replica Money in the Bank case by a fan. The fan actually banned for life from WWE events. So, take it for what it's worth. Do not try to hit anybody with a Money in the Bank briefcase, especially Roman Reigns. Dolph Ziggler actually returned at a live event, but he did not show up on Raw. I do expect him to be back next week to save Lana in some aspect and set up a match with Rusev. So that'll be interesting to see. Glad to see him back. Sheamus pulled from the Australian tour. He's been dealing with some sort of injury, so maybe we won't see Sheamus and Orton, but I must say that Sheamus and Orton will probably be put on the SummerSlam card, being a 4-hour event, and Orton being put in the light like that on Raw and not being used at the pay-per-view would just be kind of weird in my opinion, so I would suggest that Orton and Sheamus will lock horns there. Triple H announced that the NXT TakeOver in Brooklyn event is actually sold out, which we will be going over the predictions next week, and I can't wait to see it. I definitely will be watching that one, but glad to see it'll be sold out. That'll be a heck of an atmosphere for that event. Officials upset with the Divas match on SmackDown last week. This week hasn't been. Tonight will be the new SmackDown, but they were not happy with that botched finish too. They botched the finish that was not the finish that was expected. So, and in my opinion, this whole Divas thing is not working out as good as they want it to. It seems like they really watered down the Divas on the WWE roster from what they did in NXT and their work there, and it just kind of sucks to see. I really wanted to see them go out there and put on a great match, and it's just going to be a cluster at the pay-per-view with 9 girls competing in that match, and it's not going to be able to showcase any talent for any individual, which they really need to do. I'm not a big fan of this 3-faction things. I guess it's a way to start the invasion, but they could have done things differently in my opinion, and it's not working out the greatest. They're upset with the matches, and that's not a good sign. Paige reportedly replaced Hogan on Austin's podcast, so I guess Austin initially was going to have Hogan on there on the network, but when he was let go of his Legends contract and erased from WWE history, Paige took his place, so that was an interesting note. Road Warrior Animal says he's tired of asking WWE to return in some form, training, advice, agent. I guess they will not bring him back into the fold, which I think is kind of ridiculous. Road Warrior Animal with a lot of knowledge in wrestling, so why they will not bring him back in is a mystery to me, but I wish they would, and good luck to Road Warrior Animal. I guess just if you're tired of asking, I wouldn't even ask and get involved. JR not interested in working full-time in WWE, but he would like to do a match at WrestleMania, which I would love to see. I love JR's commentary. Always been a big JR fan. Like his podcast. Love his podcast. And I really would like to see him do one more match at Mania. That'd be great. Hulk Hogan, accused of lying under oath. He made it again. He could face jail time if accused, too. I guess he said something separate to the reporters or something, and then said something to the lawyers. I can't really remember the whole thing, but he is accused of lying under oath, which is not good. So I'll keep you updated on that. Stevie Ray of Harlem Heat fame had his Wildcat Heavyweight Championship belt stolen from his car in Houston, Texas. C-Dub, maybe you can find out what's going on down there in Texas. That's near your neck of the woods, on Stevie Ray's Wildcat title being stolen from his car. Maybe you could try to help us Dog the Bounty Hunter that one down. I don't know if you can or not, but if anybody can, it'd be Dr. Phil. So, Brock and Taker announced for Raw in Minneapolis next week, so don't be tuning out of Raw too soon. They will be back next week, Brock and Taker both. So that's a great sign. Keep these ratings going up for Raw. Adam Rose, Leo Kruger rumors are actually starting to fade away. There was a lot of talk about him returning to that gimmick and becoming a Wyatt family member, but those rumors are slowly going away as he has been actually working with Brad Maddox as Joshua Kingsley as Beef Mode during the live events. So yeah, I don't see Adam Rose going back to his Leo Kruger gimmick, which I do like better than the Adam Rose gimmick, anytime soon. PJ Walker, aka Justin Gabriel, defeated Jeff Jarrett for the TNA King of the Mountain title. So the working relationship between GFW and TNA keeps going. PJ Walker, glad to see him getting a title and some sort of a push, but it just sucks that it's in TNA towards the end of their run, in my opinion. But maybe this relationship between them and Global Force can keep it going. John Cena to debut the new 15-time ring gear. He wore it on Tough Enough, so if you saw Tough Enough, you've seen it there. And he says he will be ready to go for the pay-per-view too. That 15-time ring gear is pointing towards the number of titles that he has won in his career. One more and he ties Ric Flair at 16. Ronda Rousey says she will find a way to get back into the squared circle in an interview, so I thought that was cool. I hope she does get back in there. Roman Reigns actually said in an interview that, Rock could appear at SummerSlam. You never know. This is WWE, and anything can happen. And he actually acknowledged that WWE has had a rough year, which we have already talked about, and that kind of puts the icing on the cake there on the year that they've been having. Really rough for WWE this year. A lot more people within WWE are dropping stocks, and it's just not looking very good for WWE right now. WWE also intends to bring back the old Divas search later this year. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, because I thought they were trying to get away from those girls that just for looks and don't wrestle. But maybe they're swaying their way back to maybe we want divas that look good instead of wrestling chicks. I don't know what's going on in the Divas division now again, and it's been a cluster all year. And in my opinion, putting these girls from NXT did not really do much. It's just kind of been like blah. And I don't know, maybe they're going to have this Divas search to try to spice back up the Divas division with some model-like chicks. I mean, that's what WWE has always liked. China confronted Triple H at Piper's funeral, actually. X-Pac says this, reportedly. And he also said security almost had to take China down. And as we heard from C-Dub, China is just a mess right now. I guess she's been trying to contact WWE, and they will not take any of her calls. They keep refusing to talk to her. And it's probably for good reason. China did confront Triple H at the Piper funeral, I'm sure, over this matter. But that's an interesting note that I wanted to get out there. And Gigi was the one eliminated from Tough Enough, by the way, as I was just talking about that Diva search. So Gigi is gone from Tough Enough. I was also talking about Cena's appearance on there, so I wanted to note that. Also, a good news here, as the Bad News gimmick may be returning for King Barrett. They may drop that, it is reported. He used it in a segment, the Bad News gimmick, in a segment taped for the main event. And there is a standing rule that you cannot call him Wade in the WWE either. So, Bad News Barrett may be returning. I got some bad news for you. I always said that was the worst thing they did, was drop that. And this King gimmick has done nothing since day one. And we've talked about that here. And I'm glad to see them maybe reverting back to Bad News. GFW will be reportedly holding tryouts. So if you want to try out for GFW, make sure you find out, I guess, on their website when they're going to be holding these. I have no more information other than that. Former Team Couture coach Neil Melanson said he doubted that CM Punk will win his first UFC fight. So some MMA weekly interview there and MMA news there for you. He says he doubts he will. I've got my doubts, but I'm thinking if he gets the right opponent, he could do good. I wish I had Jeff on here to ask his opinion, or C-Dub, definitely trying to bring that up next week. But yeah, former coach Neil Melanson, I guess that's how you say it. It's spelled Melanson, says he doubts that Punk will win his first fight. Kurt Angle, reportedly hoping to be at the next set of TNA tapings. They will be in early October following Bound for Glory. So it's really good sign that Angle may be getting back in there. You know, he had that tumor in emergency neck surgery that he had to go in and remove that tumor, and then had some complications too. So it's good to see that Angle may be healthy and ready to go by early October. Don't want to see him rush it back and do anything stupid, but I do want to see him back in there. And the final note of the night, Sting, I guess, was originally told that he would work that 6-man tag that I've been reporting at SummerSlam, along with Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns against the Wyatts. But reportedly, he was pulled due to WWE's feeling that they had enough star power in Taker, Cena, and Lesnar, and Stephen Amell, the Green Arrow. And now they may hold out till Night of Champions. Possibly we may see the 6-man once Rowan returns still. So, the Wyatt and Sting, Ambrose, Reigns may be still in the works for a 6-man match there, but it may not be till Night of Champions. I still see them possibly using Sting in some shape or form at SummerSlam, but I will get into that in further detail next week when we get C-Dub and Jeff back on here, hopefully. But other than that, interesting note on Sting, because I have been reporting for weeks now that they were probably going to use him in a 6-man match in that manner, and then I kept saying that he probably will return for SummerSlam, but now it's looking like maybe not. They may hold out till Night of Champions, but he still could be a shocking surprise for SummerSlam. You never can have too many stars, and if he's there, you might as well use him and capitalize on it, in my opinion. So, that comes to the end of my notes, and that comes to the end of episode 39. It was a short one this week with just me on here. I hope everybody was entertained, though, and able to listen along and enjoyed the show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening. As always, we've had some new likes and subs on Facebook and YouTube, and I want to thank them for their support. Anybody who is listening for your first time, make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube and the like button on Facebook and give us some support and just some motivation to keep going here on the Brawl for All Pro Wrestling Show. But we will be coming to you, as always, next week with episode 40. We will have SummerSlam and NXT TakeOver Brooklyn predictions. And as I said, hopefully C-Dub and Jeff get back on. Shout out to both of them. Check out Chronochord Media also as well. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And as always, till next week, peace out.